Head to Subway for the tangy new Tuscan chicken melt, seasoned chicken, melted cheese, and olive vinaigrette. With 9 grams of fat, it's part of a Subway fresh fit meal. A simpler way to enjoy eating better. Hurry in today. Subway. Eat fresh. The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
this is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
It might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
All right, welcome to the BS Report. Well, my favorite show is over, The Duel. It's over. It's ended. And we brought the czar of reality TV on, Mr. Dave Jacoby, in the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. We're going to rehash The Duel, and then after he's done, we're going to get Kevin Wildes to come in with 3 half-baked ideas. And this is a podcast I could put on at any time of the day. I'll explain that later. Dave Jacoby, how are you?
I'm doing really well. How about yourself, Bill?
I feel empty. I feel a little empty.
It's not over. You still have the reunion to look forward to.
And I still have the things you wished you had seen show, which I watched 20 minutes of, and I was like, it's too late right now, and my head hurts, and I'm going to watch the rest of this later.
Exactly what I did too. It's like
Yeah.
it was like my mother used to make me eat my vegetables, and I would just eat them first to get it out of the way and save the good stuff for later.
Well, have we ever figured out why the Stuff You Never Saw show is like just significantly better than the rest of the shows?
100 times better.
Why has that ever been the right plan?
And they call it stuff they should have shown. It's like, yeah, well, who came up with that title? Maybe you guys should just reconsider the way you edit the show and put it in.
Yeah, because my problem with the Duel finale was that...
First of all, it was a good finale.
No, it's a good finale,
I don't want you to
but...
start taking shots at the last couple episodes of the Duel. They've been good.
I'm not taking shots. I'm saying so much stuff in there that they could have almost stretched it out into an hour and a half or even 2 hours. Like, it was moving.
I was shocked. I mean, there's what, 6 duels? There's 4 duels in the finale.
You know what it reminded me of? An NBA playoff game where nobody's calling timeouts and you're waiting for the pace to slow, and you're like, and then he just scored, and your head's like going to fall off.
You just want to see a replay sometimes. It's like there's so many good dunks in a row. It's just like, someone go to commercials so I can see a replay of the alley-oop.
I mean, after the Landon Brad duel, I was ready. That could have been it. They could have just gone back to the house and rehashed it for the next 20 minutes. I would have been fine with that. That could have been the end of the show.
I'm going to go on record saying that was the greatest duel in duel history.
And maybe the greatest move in duel history.
Let's
go through it. Yeah,
let's go through it.
I'll give you the conch. You go.
I think we have to start with the Brad and Tori fight. I know it seems like it was 7 years ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But it was when they're an engaged couple on a reality television show in New Zealand, and somehow it comes up that Brad is unemployed.
Yep.
And she just gets into him for not having a job. And then she takes off her ring and puts it on the reality cast house desktop table.
Mm.
And I mean that was rough. That was rough.
Hard to watch. And as a reader pointed out, Brad actually does have a college degree. They discussed this on the Real World San Diego show, which makes it a little more perplexing that he can't find a job.
He's a pretty hireable guy, you know?
I think. He's a nice guy. I like Brad.
Like, if I was a contractor, I'd be like, hey, man, like, you can paint.
Yeah.
Come on over. You know, I'm not a man. He's a sympathetic figure. It's like, I'm in New Zealand. You know I'm unemployed. Like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to pick up a boom mic and start helping out the crew and get $10 an hour? Like, come on, leave me alone.
It made a lot more sense why he was unemployed when he couldn't spell throne. The pieces kind of came together at that point.
It's so good. We got the spelling bee. When they announced that they were going to do a spelling bee, first of all, they do everything suspended over a 1,000-foot drop. Like, it's like, we got breakfast this morning. You got over a 1,000-foot drop.
Yeah. I was thinking for Sportsnation, you guys should do that. Every Friday, Coward is just on a 1,000-foot drop, suspended, trying to do the show.
Yeah. Well,
interesting.
We are going to do that, actually. Have you been watching the rehearsals?
Good. Okay.
And we've got the spelling bee. When they announced that it's going to be a spelling bee, I'm not the brightest guy in the world. I was like, oh, this is going to be boring. You know, like, I'd rather see them fight or drink or something.
Yeah.
And little did I know it was going to be probably the most riveting 12 minutes of television I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it could have gone for 120.
A long time. Like I think this should spawn a whole new genre of television.
Well, that's what Joe House was calling for, a celebrity spelling bee on one of the channels this summer. And, I remember the idea was tossed around at ESPN to do an athlete spelling bee, but the athletes aren't going to come on and look like idiots. You want people who will humiliate themselves in any way possible.
Hence reality television.
Yeah. You want the I'm a celebrity, get me out of here crowd. You want the Baldwins. You want Lou Diamond Phillips. That's who you're looking for.
It was like it had all... It felt like I was watching. It felt like the Russian roulette scene in The Deer Hunter. That's really what it felt like. It had so much suspense.
What's great was that they wouldn't just immediately tell them they were wrong. There was like the 3-second delay, and then you realize that the person who just misspelled Thron or Manelium or whatever spelling they tried to come up with. They were patiently waiting TJ Lavin's response to whether their spelling was correct. Did I get the THRON? Did I get it?
And then they sit there for a second, a very long, pregnant pause.
It wasn't like, I don't know how to spell throne. I'm throwing this out. I know it's wrong. It was THRON, and then leaning forward, waiting for the approval.
And it's gone.
It was great.
I loved it. I loved it so much. And Extremely was another one that we have to bring up.
Oh,
extremely is not a very difficult word to spell.
No, but throne is throne.
Throne is easily the runaway star. And my favorite part about it is I thought they were just kind of haphazardly pulling words, to spell. It was when TJ Lavin would announce after the first round, he's like, okay, no more 4th grade words. Yeah. We're now moving up to 7th grade words. And the look on their faces is like, oh man, 7th grade words?
It was great. And then he even gave us the You Killed It after.
Yeah. I mean, his first You Killed It.
First You Killed It of the year.
Is there a part of you that thinks that he's onto the You Killed It thing? That like maybe he's read a couple of your articles?
Oh, I hope not.
And you've influenced him?
I really hope that's not true.
TJ Lavin, if you're listening to this,
bring it back. I liked You Killed It. I mean, did he overuse it? Yeah,
Dolly
maybe.
Parton's not going out and getting a breast reduction.
Right.
That's what you're here for.
So then they left last week's show with an alleged cliffhanger. Not really.
No.
We knew Anissa was going to beat out Tori's Brad's fiance.
Of course.
So this final show kicks off with that. Then it goes to Brad beating MJ. I was a little surprised by that one.
I was a little bit surprised by that too.
Yeah.
And poor Bella's never going to go to college.
Poor Bella now sentenced to community college.
Yes. Poor Bella. I mean, what's she going to do?
That's too bad.
Poor Bella.
Yeah.
You can get a good education in community college. You get out of it what you put into it. If you really dedicate yourself, you're going to be all right.
Looks like MJ has to go to Plan B, working.
Yeah. Maybe him and Brad can start passing out resumes together.
Or form a bad company. So then I was like, all right, we're going to have a little boom.
Into it.
Threw a wrinkle at us. You guys have to choose who you're going against. Duel. We're knocking people out. And all of a sudden, the odds-on favorite, Landon, ends up in with Brad.
Well, before that, though, it was the girls and the guys. There's 4 in each room. They have to decide just some sort of democratic way to who's going to be in the duel. And the girls decide to just have a vote. Open, honest, everybody say who they want in, the loser goes in. And the guys decide to have a silent vote, so they send Landon, being the nice fella he is, volunteers, like, hey, you know what? I'll go get the pen and paper.
Yeah.
Leaves the room for 40, 45 seconds, and during the time that he's gone, all the other 3 dudes look at each other like, thanks for leaving the room, buddy.
Yeah.
You're going in the duel.
Right. That was good. Yeah, Landon was like, I don't know, almost naive. I hate to use the word naive with a reality TV show, but there's a naivete to him.
I think you should hate to use the word almost in that sentence.
There's a naivete that made Landon both endearing and even dumber than the other contestants, who are all dumb. So Landon goes in with Brad, and it's really the only great duel event, in my opinion, of the 5 that they come up with this year. The pull the hook away from the other guy and then try to hook it event.
Yeah.
You like this one, right?
I love this one. And it always ended up as a girls' duel, which and I knew that one day, the boys were going to step in the ring, and you got to set it up. I mean, like Brad is probably 220 pounds, 10 cycles into it.
Yeah.
Landon, ironically, is a cyclist, and he's in very good shape. And I expected Brad to just pick him up over his head, throw him on the ground, take the carabiner, and put it on the hook.
Yeah, but the interesting part is Landon's a former high school wrestling champ.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that makes perfect sense because immediately what happened is Landon picks Brad up off the ground, slams him on the ground, and I think it was like a Tyson Holyfield, like a fight or flight response because then he picked him up again and slammed him on the ground. And
it was like a Roger Clemens throwing the bat. Like he just kind of lost it.
Yeah, he just freaked out and lost it. Mm. And then there's poor TJ Lavin over there is like, look, I don't want anybody to get killed.
Yeah.
So like, buddy, you've got the ring in your hand. You've got the carabiner in your hand. You have to go clip it on. And Landon just, at this point, he can't hear or speak or do anything. And
he's so hyped up.
Yeah, he proceeds to keep picking Brad up in the air and slamming him on the ground and picking him up in the air and slamming on the ground. Well, finally TJ steps in. Like, dude, you can't do that.
Yeah, it really threatened to be the first full-fledged real fight during like a duel type event in the history of the show. And what made it better was that these guys are holding hooks. Yeah. So you could have had like a catastrophe. There's a catastrophe in the air this whole time. Because Brad really looked like he was just ready to be like, screw the duel, I'm actually going to beat the crap out of you now.
Yeah.
So then it led, they each got one, came down to the climactic, put the hook on the thing, best 2 out of 3. And Landon wins, basically wins, doesn't win. And he's underneath his hook that he needs to hook it on. Brad's hook is all the way on the other side, but he has the hook he needs, but he's got to run to the other side. So before he runs, he slaps Landon's little dangling rope thing that he's going to put the hook on, and it sways back and forth, and then sprints toward his thing and hooks it. And Landon, like, for some reason, it like totally discombobulated him. The swinging pain, he was like, ah! And just fell apart and couldn't hook the thing. Lost.
It was like, I was trying to think of a sports equivalent.
I don't know if there is.
I don't think in the history of like, because obviously this is the biggest stage in reality television history. Like maybe the David Tyree catch was the only thing I could think of, just like literally.
Like a miracle. He needed a miracle.
Yeah, it was just like something amazing needs to happen. I mean, this is over.
The Manning Tyree play, I think, is a very good example.
It's the only thing I think of.
Yeah, the helmet catch, because it's like, you need a borderline miracle. I wouldn't even say it was like the Roberts deal. It was like, you need like the flukiest, weirdest possible play that can happen for you to have any chance.
Everybody watching thinks it's over, down to the last human being.
It was amazing. I've never seen anyone more mad to lose at a duel either. I think Landon threw his stuff like he threw it like 50 yards.
Yeah, almost as far as he threw Brad on that first body slam.
So then you think like, oh, this is Brad's year. No, ended up being like the Carlton Fisk homer. Ultimately, it meant nothing because he lost the next round by 2 seconds.
Yeah, it was here's the thing: is if you watch these things for a while, and I'm assuming that every cast member watches these, is like it basically ends up being a marathon.
Yeah.
To win.
You don't want anybody who's fat, who has a big butt, who can't run that fast.
Like somebody needs to tell Big Easy, like, look, I think Big Easy knows that he's not going to win.
Yeah, he's just there to drink. Yeah.
And we almost had a good death too. There's at one point where they had to cross a river, and Anissa pretty much got swept away into the river. And I'm sure like there's a camera guy. I'm sure the camera guy who's shooting that was like, at what point do I put down this camera and try to save this woman's life?
Mm. What's the rule book on that? Do you let them die?
I think you have to film to the end. Yeah, I don't think you film a dying human being. I think you just have to play it by gut.
Is it like when you're in the wildlife and you're filming like something on like some deer, and then all of a sudden this cougar comes out of nowhere, and you know the cougar's going to kill the deer you've been filming, but you have to let it happen.
You have to let it happen.
It's a rule of the jungle.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So maybe those rules are in place here.
They are making a documentary after all.
Wild Kingdom rules.
They are making a documentary.
Well, what's funny is that Anissa thinks she's going to win every year, but every year it comes down to a marathon, and every year she's like 15, 20 pounds overweight and has no chance, and lags noticeably behind and kills whoever her partner is.
Yeah. I mean, she's pretty brutal.
Does it bother you that BaseballReference.com hasn't done like a DuelReference.com?
That does. What bothers me more is our good friend Katie Gorman had found the fantasy site. You can fantasy duel.
Oh.
At the beginning of the season, you can draft players, and they've got this elaborate scoring system. Like if you get in a fight, you get 50 points. If you win a duel, you get points. If you make out with somebody, you get points. If you pass out drunk.
Right.
It's an elaborate scoring system with something that I think we need to get involved in next time around.
So the winners ended up being Evan and Rachel. Rachel was like a no-brainer. You knew she was going to win.
Rachel,
Evan,
she literally beat the guys. She literally beat the guys at the race.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of embarrassing, actually. But Evan won, and I think that's who you picked, so now I have to write a letter to CT.
I'm very excited about that. Have you thought about it at all?
No, what do you want me to say in it?
Well, look, I've got to admit something.
Yeah.
In an email that you forwarded me, it said that Evan had won. So I'm taking the bet off the table.
Seriously?
Yeah. I could have been a jerk and made you write an email to CT. But I had vague memories of someone saying that Evan won, and they saw it online or whatever. I just can't in good conscience.
That's nice of you.
Have you write that email to CT? I had a long conversation. This wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. I'm actually like a truly vindictive and evil person on the inside. I had to have a long conversation with myself.
Right.
But you're in danger. You know what I mean? As a friend of mine, I didn't want to put you in harm's way.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say that I'm proud of you or anything because ultimately you don't care. You don't care that I'm proud of you for being a good human being because that means nothing to you.
Yeah.
You're dark inside, but I'm proud of you.
Oh, thanks, man.
That's nice. I'm glad that you didn't set me up for some sort of CT disaster.
Yeah.
Our friend Deirdre Fenton, who you work with.
Yes, of course.
She wanted us to point out that Evan, she thinks he's an evil genius, that he took out his biggest competition by convincing everyone else to throw Landon in the duel instead of him. He's made a career out of being an MTV reality star. But here's the thing. He was never on the Real World or the Road Rules shows.
That's a great point. He was a
fresh meat guy. He was this guy who now you think he was on. It's like, what Real World season was Evan on? I think he was on Austin. But no, he actually was never on a Real World.
Never.
Was he on Road Rules 12? Didn't he?
No. Like a Road Rules people are like, there's like some semester at sea or something. Like, wasn't he on a boat?
Was that the Real World that I was abroad for a semester? I didn't see the. No, he was never on a show. And now he's won.
If my memory serves me correct, which it often doesn't, I believe he carried his teammate through Fresh Meat almost to the end as well.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he's been an offensive juggernaut through his time on the duels.
Well, I feel like he's at that like Roger Federer stage now, where it's like you've peaked, you're number one, you've proven it. Now you just got to go out there and keep doing it. But at some point, you're going to lose your motivation a little. And
I got to tell you, Landon is the doll.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you know who Sampras is?
Yeah.
Alton.
Yeah, the predecessor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think they do next time?
Well, hold on. Deirdre also pointed out that Evan, in the Fresh Meat Confessional, the first time he was on, said it was going to be the best experience of his life because he was competing, quote unquote, with his idols, which we forgot about. His idols. And now he walks among them. Evan.
Oh, how could you not share that with me?
I was saving it for the podcast.
Oh, good call.
Yeah. Deirdre Fenton.
Good pull. Deirdre Fenton.
Yeah, I'll tell you, she's a catch.
This is going to be the time of my life. I'm competing with my idols.
Yeah, it was his idols now.
Evan, and it makes sense because Evan seems like they all seem to care at some point, like oddly too much. You know, they spend like 95% of their time talking about like who's going to go in the duel or whatever, and like having no fun. And Evan takes it a little too far. It's almost like, dude, just chill out.
It's almost like those people that they've grown up with Survivor, and now they're finally on the show. And it's like, I've been watching this show my whole life. I know what my plan is.
Yeah, they had like that fans versus All-Star cast season, which got really weird. That got really weird. I wouldn't be sleeping well if I was an ex-cast member. I think like Evan's got like the Kobe underbite thing going now.
The Badger look?
Yeah, it's too much.
So
we need to get Mike Breen and Van Gundy out there to call the last duel. Look how bad Evan wants it.
He wants it so bad.
He wants it so bad.
Well, what do we do now?
We
got Real World Cancun?
Real World Cancun's coming up.
Not that totally. I got to say, I watched the first 2 episodes of the Kendra show, and I was... I
can't do that.
I was surprisingly decent.
She can't do that.
In the first 5 minutes that I watched, she was grocery shopping, and she thought rice-a-roni was a Japanese food. And then that was obviously fantastic. And then she had just moved into her house, and the doorbell rang, and she says, "Oh, the guy with the stripper pole is here." And then they proceeded to put a stripper pole in the living room.
Of course.
Yeah.
And is Hank Baskett still on the roster for the Eagles?
Yeah, he showed up, and they're still making it seem like he's somebody you'd pick in a fantasy league.
Yeah, I bet he gets drafted in more fantasy leagues this year.
It wasn't bad, though, I got to say.
I can't watch that.
I'm just saying it wasn't bad. I'm not saying you had to watch it. I'm saying
I couldn't watch Celebrity Get Me Out of Here either. I tried so hard. I wanted to like it so much.
Well, say what you said the first night. You said you were worried. You had some line about it.
I don't remember. You got to cue me.
Oh, man.
I barely said anything, dude.
You said something about you were worried about it. You said you liked it, you had high hopes, but you were worried that it wasn't going to hold up, and you compared it to some athlete. It was a very good comparison. You turned out to be correct because the show immediately fell apart.
Yeah, it's like gotta hate Spencer, gotta hate Spencer, gotta hate Spencer. Spencer leaves, you're like, gotta hate this show all of a sudden.
Yeah, who knew that he'd actually be a valuable commodity?
Yeah, very much so. I think you could cast Spencer on pretty much anything.
I did think it was interesting, though, that Lou Diamond Phillips held such esteem with the other reality mates.
You know, here's the thing. Is for some reason Lou Diamond Phillips, in my memory, has always been like an esteemed actor with this long list of movies that I liked.
Apparently not.
But then I had this conversation with someone. They're like, name a bunch of Lou Diamond Phillips movies. Do you know what I got? I'm like, Young Guns.
La Bamba.
Young Guns 2. And then La Bamba. Can you name another Lou Diamond Phillips vehicle?
I can name one. Courage Under Fire.
Courage Under Fire. Nope. Not ringing a bell.
Meg Ryan, Denzel Washington, something happened in the Gulf War and different accounts, and he ended up being kind of a bad guy. But we're talking 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah, and when you're sharing the screen with Denzel, you're not the top of the marquee.
You know what killed him was that he showed up a little bit before the name shortening acronym thing happened, because now we'd call him LDP.
Yeah.
And I think that really...
Or Ludai.
Or Ludai or something.
That did hurt him.
It did hurt him. He should be called LDP. If I said LDP to the average person, they should know what I'm talking about.
They should. I'm a little personally concerned about Brad moving forward.
Oh, you're going back to the duel on me.
Yeah, a little bit. Because it's just... I grew to enjoy him. I grew to be sympathetic towards him. Yeah. And he lost the equivalent of $65,000 pre-tax by a couple seconds. He was under a lot of pressure from his fiance. I just don't like where this is going.
You think he's in a bad spot right now?
I think he's in a really bad spot right now. I want to give him a hug and a pat in the back and say, man, it's all right. You provided us with one of the greatest play in the history of the duel.
Yeah, losing that's true, but, it's the Fisk homer.
Yeah, it is the Fisk homer.
It's the LeBron game-winning shot in Game 2 that ultimately nobody's going to give a crap happen because they lost to Orlando in 6.
Do you think you can ask any Red Sox fan under 23 about the Fisk homer, and they'll say that was the one that won us the World Series?
Yeah, it somehow became more important than the Reds winning the World Series. It was weird. It was because of the replay. It was the first great replay in sports history.
Yeah, and isn't that some awesome story about the cameraman? Have you heard that one? Like he was asleep or something, or like wiping a bug off of his jersey?
Never.
You haven't heard this?
No.
Oh, look it up online. Like it's something like a mosquito or like a bumblebee like landed on his arm, and he's supposed to be like focused on the shortstop or something.
Yeah. And
like he messed up and got the greatest shot of Red Sox history.
So what's on the DVR season pass now?
DVR season pass. I've got Celebrity Get Me Out of Here, which I kind of hate.
I canceled that one already.
And I'm very excited about True Blood. I really like that show. And that's coming out soon.
Nurse Jackie?
The word around the ESPN newsroom today that Nurse Jackie was a keeper, and they ordered 12 more episodes of it.
I wasn't a huge fan.
You didn't like it that much?
Didn't really like it.
I think it's the haircut.
It's the haircut I didn't like, but also it's the same reason I didn't like 6 Feet Under. Like, if everything's going to be grim and unhappy, at some point you need to entertain me at least a little bit.
Totally disagree about 6 Feet Under. That's a great show.
I know. A lot of people love 6 Feet Under, but I just felt like this wasn't a happy show. I don't want to be unhappy for an hour every week.
That makes sense.
And I don't like hospitals.
Nobody likes hospitals. So many doctor shows out there.
I'm excited for Hung.
For Hung?
Yeah, Hung and the HBO's Thomas Jane, who I've always liked, who I felt like should have had a much better career than he did. He plays like some high school teacher in Middle America who's well hung. And decides to become like a male escort, finally take advantage.
You're dead serious?
I swear to God, this is a show. And you're in. You're season passing it.
I'm definitely in already.
He decides to take advantage of the one gift that God gave him in life and starts servicing people in his area.
Who plays him?
Thomas Jane.
Oh, nice.
Thomas Jane, who you remember as Todd Parker in Boogie Nights and from Deep Blue Sea, and he played Mickey Mantle. He's great as Mickey Mantle in 61. I always liked him. I always thought he was going to have a huge career, and it never happened. So now he's Hung.
Good for him.
Yeah. So
I'm into that.
Good. And then other than that, I don't really know what else to get excited about.
Summer's a pretty dry season, you know.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I guess I'm excited.
The real world Cancun, I think it's going to be really good. I've got high hopes for that.
Should be good.
I think it's going to be up against the Vegas season. One of the Twitter folks pointed out that there's a cast member whose name is spelled. I'll get it for you. It's like ANIIIA. Or something like that. And he's like, look, you think Jen with 2 N's or something. Where is this? It's insane.
3, so like just a bunch of vowels?
Yes, 3 vowels in a row. I'm looking forward to that.
I was thinking that something might trump the Jen with 2 N's. If her name had 2 N's in it. It was Kendra.
Yeah.
2 N's. That would be good.
AYIIIA. I don't even know how to say that.
What is it?
AYIIIA.
AYIIIA?
This is like a reverse spelling bee. Like, okay, now you say it. I'll spell it. You say it.
Aia?
Aia is what I'm going with. Yeah.
Wow.
That'd be great. Sounds like something I would say after hitting a jump shot.
All right, so you're going to go away for a couple weeks. We'll bring you back on down the road to discuss Real World Cancun. But it's been a pleasure. In my opinion, there's the czar of the telestrator, and now there's the czar of the duel.
Wow, man.
And his name is Mr. Dave Jacoby.
It's an honor.
Nice work.
Appreciate it, brother.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Every once in a while, we like to tape podcasts that are timeless to some degree. Because who knows what will happen to me. I might have to travel. I might be trapped under something. I might have to go back into drug rehab for a couple of days. You never know. So, as always, our friend Kevin Wildes on the phone, ready to do an evergreen podcast. The last one was a pretty big hit.
Yeah, people loved it.
People
love Chicago Cheers.
Chicago Cheers is very, very exciting. Welcome to the Subway Fresh Take Hotline.
Well, thank you very much. I actually have a problem with the Subway Fresh Take Hotline.
What is it?
After last month's Evergreen podcast, someone tweeted me, whatever you want to call it, and said, why don't you go hang out with the producer since they sound crystal clear and you're on a phone?
You could probably do that. It's like right down the road from you.
Yeah, it sounds silly. So
you blame Joe Mead for that?
He's the producer, and the producer calls the shots, so yes.
Yeah, Joe, you could have stepped it up there and invited Kevin to join you in the studio.
I was not aware he was so easily reached.
Yeah.
You know what? Take a 5-minute break and come over here.
Now we're going to step up.
Yeah, we'll do it next time. Cheers, Chicago. So, what did we decide? Did we decide on a cast?
I wish I was more prepared for this. Though the overwhelming Twitter response was Bunk from the Wire as Norm.
One of the Black Norm or Cliff guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was overwhelming to the point that people were threatening me and calling me names and how come I didn't think of this.
Yeah, we should have thought of that.
It's really bad.
And I came up with Amy Smart for the Diane Chambers role, which I was very excited about.
Why do you love Amy Smart so much?
Because you got to be a little skinny and likable, and not like, you can't be like conventional, drop dead gorgeous. You have to be kind of brainy, and this girl's winning me over. Not the typical bombshell I'd fall for, but pretty nonetheless.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? No.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a
What
huge
about
Amy.
John Mahoney as Woody? You like that one?
Yes, of course.
Rachel Bilson as Diane Chambers?
Rachel Bilson's a home run. Rachel Bilson channel. Whatever, all things Rachel Bilson all the time.
That's
another bad idea I've had. It's so like a Bar Raffaelli channel, a Rachel Bilson channel.
Oh, I had Erin Andrews on my podcast, and I was saying that when she does these games where she has to go to different locations, on ESPN Classic, we should just have a channel where we just have the camera just on her for that 3 hours as she's doing her job.
It's called Erin Doing Work.
Erin Doing Work. That would be good. All right, what do you have 3 half-baked ideas for us? Let's hear them.
Yes, all right. I have 3 half-baked ideas, and I also was going to fold the podcast in on itself and have the whole podcast be a half-baked idea for a podcast.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
That made my head hurt.
I know. Yeah. So when you see something random happening, that's when we're starting to get meta.
Okay.
So hopefully you'll recognize it, and then I can explain it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one, I'm working on this show, Sportsnation. Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a half-baked idea to get publicity for the show. So not only do we have to produce the show, which is very fun, but they also let us sit in on all like the advertising meetings. Like, what do you guys want to do? And I don't know that much about advertising. I know they're talking about shooting some promos and some commercials and maybe running some print campaigns. I'm like, oh, well, that all sounds very nice. That's fine. That will get the word out. Now, what I do know a lot about is how you try to sell records and get notoriety in hip-hop, and that is start a beef.
Start a feud, yes.
Yeah. So you start a beef. So I'm like, all right, well, why don't we just start a beef? It's going to be a lot cheaper. It just involves me going on Simmons' podcast and, talking reckless. So, Stephen Colbert, you're fake. You're a fake and you're a punk. You want a real show, you watch Sportsnation at 4 o'clock on July 6th. Don't watch Colbert. You're fake, and I'm talking reckless now, and I mean it. If you want to say, if I see you in the street, don't let me see you in the street, Stephen Colbert. Things are going to happen. Metal things are coming out.
You know what? You should do a song about how in real life his name is pronounced Stephen Colbert.
Yep.
But on the show it's Colbert.
Yeah, I think O'Reilly pulled his card on that one. And his whole shtick is starting beefs. Like, he started a beef with O'Reilly. It works in TV already. O'Reilly and Overman have a beef. And Oprah would never come on Letterman, so he would always plead and plead and plead. And eventually Oprah came on. It was like humongous ratings.
Yeah. It hasn't worked as well in the blogosphere.
Of what? Different blogs starting beefs with each other?
No, blogosphere is trying to start beefs with people that are more high profile that will then get mad at them and send them their traffic or whatever. People just don't do anything. I always thought the bloggers should turn on each other.
No,
that would be more interesting.
Yeah, a little bit. But you always try to beef up. So, like, Jay-Z doesn't really start beefs. He had one beef with Nas a while ago, but most of the time he stays above the fray. But if you're on the come up, you try to start a beef with the top dogs. That's why I'd go up against Colbert. So
that's what I did. Oh, God.
So blogs fighting with each other, like when they went after, they didn't go after him, but the whole Buzz Bissinger mess.
Yeah.
That was great. It was like, whoa, this is fantastic, and it produced a lot of great stuff.
I did that when I was in Boston. I went after all the Boston Globe guys and the WEI guys.
Boom. And look where you are now.
Non-stop. Yeah. Well,
living in Hollywood, California.
You know what, though? It's funny. It actually hurt me. All it did was have nobody send me any sort of traffic or anything. It hurt.
What are you talking about? Your beef got you to where you are now.
No, it delayed it by about 2 years. It was bad. It was a bad idea.
Oh, I see what you're doing. You're continuing the beef right now.
No, I'm saying that, what I should have done was played the game a little bit, gotten some ink from the Globe and EI, and then turned on them. That's the move. You want to use them to get whatever you need from them, and then you turn on them.
Yeah, so eventually I think if we just keep on needling Colbert will eventually like, you know what, let's just take down the Sportsnation show. And then people will watch Colbert, will be like, what, Sportsnation? I've never even heard of this thing. And boom.
Can I redefine how you're doing the beef? You have Colin Cowherd go on Colbert.
Okay.
Under the preface or whatever the word is that he's there to discuss his show and promote it. But when he goes on, he turns on Colbert.
Oh, boy.
It gets ugly quick. It gets nasty. It gets Jim Cramer, Jon Stewart level, just uncomfortable and weird. And everybody makes a big deal about it. YouTube clips played over and over again.
And then we come on our show and we talk about it.
Yeah.
It will work.
I think it's almost like the surprise beef is what works better. Like the greatest beef that really ever was Biggie against Tupac. And I forget who. I guess Tupac blamed Biggie because he got shot in the studio. But
yeah, there's a big, long, intricate backstory, but that's generally.
I don't know who had more to gain when it started. I guess Biggie was a little bigger than Tupac at the time. I'm not sure. That's
when beefs actually were too real. That is sort of That's not what's really supposed to happen. It's supposed to be 50 Cent called it's all WWF. That was too real, obviously, because people lost their lives and people were actually getting shot. But
well, you don't want the beef where both guys die.
No,
that's a worst case scenario beef.
That is worst case scenario. But you want one of the people have now learned to turn this media machine on its head. I'll just manufacture my own news. I'll manufacture my own beef. You hear that, Charlie Rose, you punk?
Right. I will say though that you have done wrestling a disservice by saying that rap music started the whole beef thing. That's just insulting.
No, I didn't. Oh, did I say that?
Well, you said. I mean, this is what wrestling. Basically, the foundation of wrestling is beefs. It's guys somehow taking some insult from another wrestler and turning it into a whole feud.
Yes. I'm going to Google 50 Cent quote WWF so I can get it right. And
in fact, I would say that Larry Zbyszko starting beef with Bruno Sammartino in the late 70s. Leading to them selling out Shea Stadium was the ultimate example of how to make your beef work.
Is that pre-WWF?
Yeah, this is probably 1978. That was the first year I watched wrestling. I was a little kid. Larry Zbyszko is Bruno Sammartino. It's all on YouTube. It's actually fantastic. It was like his mentor, so they decided to have this good-natured match. But you could tell Zbyszko's kind of maybe thinking about some bad things. And so finally he ends up, Bruno's not looking, he hits him with a chair.
Oh, boy.
And Bruno bladed. And I'm talking blood everywhere. It's like the shining elevator coming out of his head. And Vince McMahon's, oh my God, no! And that led to selling out Shea Stadium. But I would argue that was the greatest beef that launched.
The first beef.
The first great beef.
What about Lincoln Douglas?
Actually, well, if you're going to go that far, wouldn't you say Aaron Burr and Hamilton? Alexander?
Oh, yeah, that's a true beef.
That
was fired.
Yeah, that was probably the best beef. All right, what's half-baked idea number 2? I like number 1.
All right, so half-baked idea number 2, half-baked idea. Okay. Oh, the whole podcast is going to be half-baked ideas. Okay, we'll do that one later. All right, half-baked idea to make a better bar. So I spent a lot of time in bars, and my equation, I'm looking to have fun in bars, and I've come up with this equation. Okay, fun equals beer plus music plus people divided by space minus light. Okay, you get that one?
Yeah, I got it.
Take out a pen and pad if you're on the road. Beer plus music plus people divided by space minus light. Okay, that's what equals fun. That's what the fun quotient is. So beer you can control. Music you can control. The people, kind of you can control. The space you can't control because you're just in a bar. The light you can't control. So I said this. If you had a bar with a revolving, or not a revolving, a wall that could push back and push forward, so you could keep the perfect equation of beer, music, people, space, and light, it would be called Kevin Wildes' Always Perfectly Crowded Bar. So if there's 3 people in it, the bar is super small. Hey, what's going on, buddy? Hey, not too much. How are you? But if there's 1,000 people in it, don't worry. I'll just crank that thing up. More people leaving, crank it closed. So it will never have a chance to leave because they're like, this place is winding down, it's starting to empty out. It's starting to empty out, just crank it forward. It's always going to be the perfect size.
So you're saying it's almost like what the Oakland Athletics did, where they had they put all the black tape over the upper deck. So it made the park look more intimate, but really they had just taped black over the upper deck.
Did the Spurs used to do that? Remember, there used to be pictures of David Robinson. They'd have these big drapes.
Oh yeah, in their old Alamo Dome, the seats were so far away in one side that they did the Kevin Wildes. They closed off one of the sides.
Done. And if those were open, you'd be like, this is lame. Like, let's get out of here. So that, like, the Nationals game the other day.
Yeah.
I guess, or it was last night. If this is Evergreen, we'll say a while back ago.
Yeah.
Had 100 people watch the final out. It's just humiliating.
Yeah.
So you have to just make that super small, and 100 people is a lot of people. You're having a party.
So you could actually extend this concept to stadiums and concert halls.
Everything. People would never leave if it's the right crowd. You're there for the people, even though oddly you never even have any plans to talk to them. You just kind of want them around.
You left out one thing in your formula, though.
Go ahead.
And I'm really upset at you.
Okay, beer plus music plus people. Okay.
You left out one plus.
Go.
Gotta have the long shuffleboard thing on the side of one of them with tickets. It's never not worked. I've never been in a bar where I didn't want to play shuffleboard. I've never been in a bar where there weren't 7 people waiting to play shuffleboard. I've never been into a bar where there weren't 25 other people just watching the shuffleboard the same way you'd watch, 2 people make out in one of those sex clubs in New Orleans. You just stare at it.
I'm going to search for the perfect analogy here, but here's the story, all podcast listeners. We go to a bar, Fat Cat. Is that what? Yeah, I think Fat Cat in New York.
Yeah.
Bill sees that there is a shuffleboard.
Yeah.
And he gets so pumped. It's like, there's a shuffleboard here. Oh, I'm going to crush this. Oh, I'm the greatest shuffleboard player ever. We start playing, and he's horrible. Worst person at the bar.
Are you talking about me?
Yes. And I kept on carrying us, and you kept drinking, and you're like, Wildes, I'm sorry. I'm going to get better. It's starting to come back.
I was drunk.
Slamming
I was
at
drunk,
the end of the shuffleboard puck, flying off the table.
I was overserved. Can't blame me for being overserved.
And then an hour later, you fell down in the street.
I did. An hour later, I fell down, and my shirt got wet.
You were so confident. I was like, I got it made. We should start betting money.
I was overserved. I'm not going to apologize.
You need a shuffleboard table. I'm sorry for criticizing your shuffleboard puck skills.
Well, you just haven't seen them when during a relatively... See, with shuffleboard, you hit that moment where you have a few in you, but you're not overserved yet, and that's when magic happens.
Why? There are some sports like that. I don't... Like, bowling is like that.
Where you can get better with, 4 beers in you?
You get better with beer. Bowling, darts.
I actually think for some people, golf is like that. They have a couple beers and it kind of loosens them up.
I don't understand. No one knows being drunk is a PED.
I think Darko Milicic would argue that in professional basketball you could do it. I'm throwing that out there. He just seemed like he'd be drunk. No, he's not. It's just throwing it out there. Vin Baker was a test case for the theory not working. Because he would actually, the opponents would smell him and stuff.
Oh, boy.
My God, he smells like booze. All right, but I like second half-baked idea a lot. I still think shuffleboard needs to be involved. Or even a pool table. You think the best bar has some sort of little extra room where either there's pool or something going on.
Hey, we crank it up 5 cranks. The pool table reveals itself. Call 5 buddies.
Yeah. I'm very surprised you gave away that New York City bar. That was one of your favorite secret places.
Oh, I know, but during the weekend it just becomes a madhouse.
Should we bleep it? You want to bleep it?
Of mesh hats. Nah, it's already lost. And good for them. They've got ping pong tables.
Okay. Third half-baked idea.
Okay. The third half-baked idea, and this is barely a half-baked idea because I actually do come up with these dumb ideas, and I've tricked a wonderful company into paying me for them.
Yeah.
But this is this is a half-baked idea to drive ratings.
Yep.
And for a while...
Is this a top of SportsCenter, is it?
No, but that's pretty good.
All right, I just want to make sure.
So this idea, we started talking to our buddy Scott Hanley, who loves to drive ratings and also loves musicals. So we started to think about stunt programming. So not just like, oh, good news, we signed the SEC contract, but just like 1 hour, reasonable budget, want the biggest rating possible. Like Geraldo Rivera opens up Al Capone's vault, 30 million people watch that. The only person that's really slaughters these ideas right now is David Blaine. He's like, I'm going to do something, and I'm somehow going to trick the entire world into thinking that it's important.
And people will write about it and talk about it.
He does monster numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a reasonable budget, so everybody can play at home. Come up with your own idea. I'm sure you're already thinking of one, and it's probably better than mine.
Mine is the David Stern 85 ladder. I'd like to do a 2-hour special to figure out if it was rigged or not.
But is that going to do 30 million?
I want to recreate it. I want to have trained actors try to recreate the way he did the envelopes and see if he could have if he could have known just from the way he was looking at the camera and touching the envelopes, if he could have known different scenarios for it. You're watching that show.
Yeah, I don't know if it's doing a 30.
Okay, you're right.
But it's a great show, but I don't know if it's doing a 30. Okay. So here is the idea. And when I tell people this, people say, "Oh, obviously blank," and it's split down the middle. The show is called Harvard versus Harlem. It is a basketball game with Harvard University, a group of coached players, versus Harlem, which is you can take the Rucker Park All-Stars or someone from the Entertainers Basketball Classic or the Kingdome, even.
Right.
Some local. So just 5 dudes who don't really run plays, but are very good basketball players, and somewhere along the line they've gone or haven't made it into the league, or just great street ball players. 5
great street ball players who have not really played under the team concept together.
Yes, versus 5 players who aren't great, but are X's and O's, execute this back cut. We've got inbounds plays. We get open shots. We knock down our shots. We run effective full court traps or whatever. Who wins that game?
Well, we already have our answer because it happened in the 1977 NBA Finals. The Portland Trailblazers against Philadelphia 76ers. Portland won in 6.
Could you tell me and the rest of the loyal listeners which team was which?
Philadelphia was the undisciplined street ball team, all one-on-one. Dr. J, George McGinnis, Lloyd B. Free, Kobe Bryant's dad, Jelly Bean Joe Bryant, Harold Dawkins, Doug Collins, all one-on-one guys. And Portland had Bill Walton and basically they had the Dr. Jack Ramsey system, guys doing back cuts, guys taking off on every rebound, Walton's outlet passes, very like old school. And it was this old school, new school battle, and Portland won. Unfortunately, the media kind of turned it into like a helter-skelter race war type finals, which was a little unfortunate. It really wasn't. It was just one style of basketball against another. And I think that's what you're describing here.
So you think Harvard wins?
I think Harvard wins just because, although on the other hand, maybe Harvard doesn't have the Bill Walton cut. Bill Walton, healthy, one of the top 15 players ever.
Yeah. So that's the thing. You're like, oh, of course, Harvard wins. And you talk to other people, and they're like, oh, of course, Harlem wins. Like this dude, Kareem Reed is known all throughout New York, but no one else knows him. He just shuts down. Summertime, Kareem Reed's here. Guess what? Best basketball player in the world. He's unstoppable.
It's an awesome idea. The only thing is, like, I have a feeling the way TV works, by the time it actually got on the air, it would be called, like, Cornell versus, I don't know, some area I've never heard of.
I picked it. Ideally, it's like it would be Princeton versus somebody, because I like Princeton basketball. It has a better, track record of back cuts and things like that. But I love alliteration, Bill.
It's beautiful.
Harvard versus Harlem, like dun 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 dun.
Well, plus Harlem is,
and then you get Jim Jones, like.
But Harlem is the home of schoolyard basketball too.
Yes,
that's Rooker League and all the stuff we want.
So you think I think I'm torn on this, but I think that that crushes ratings. One, I think it becomes this big thing, and Greta Van Susteren is all mad about Harvard versus Harlem, and people get upset about it. Who would really win?
I don't know if it gets a bigger rating than my Stern Lottery idea.
Really? Hold on, do you want to ask Jalen Rose? Hold on a second. Hey, Jalen Rose, question. I'm on Bill Simmons' podcast. Do you like Bill Simmons? Who wins in a game versus Harvard's college varsity team versus 5 dudes from Rucker, Harvard versus Harlem? Playing with, let's say call your own fouls. Street ball guys win, according to Jalen Rose.
Wow, that was exciting. Do you have anybody else from the Fab Five there, or is he the only one we can ask?
Well, it's just.
Can you ask Ray King?
Oh, he's saying nobody
Jimmy
does.
King?
No, he's talking. Huh?
Can you ask Jimmy King or Ray Jackson? Or
I got. Well, since we're just on the since we're just the podcast. Hold on. Here's Larry Bird. Larry Bird.
Did I ever tell you my Tyson week idea?
No, but I'm sold.
You already sold? I don't have to pitch it.
I love Mike Tyson. Everyone should go see the Tyson doc. It's so wonderful, and you're going to cry.
Here's my half-baked idea. I've been arguing this for 5-6 years. Nobody at ESPN has ever given me an answer why it should happen. Like in July, like third week of July, nothing going on. Week after the ESPYs, all we're showing is baseball. Nothing else happening. We have Tyson week, and it's like Shark Week. We promote it the same way we would promote Shark Week.
Brilliant.
10 hours, just Tyson programming. Just his knockouts, his fights, people talking about him, documentaries. And really the secret, it's just called Tyson Week, and we just promote the hell out of it like Discovery does with the Sharks. Because what is Shark Week? It's basically just a title and some fins.
I am 100. We own that footage, too.
We own all of it. And nobody's ever like, hey, what are you watching? I was going to sit down and watch the TV with you. You wouldn't like it. I'm watching some early Mike Tyson knockouts. Oh, man. Well, call me when you change the channel. Like, nobody's getting up from Mike Tyson. It's like you could put that on in any social situation, and people are going to gravitate toward the TV.
Good Lord, you're right.
Tyson Week. You did your 3. You did your 3, right?
Yeah.
Well, wait a second. What was the podcast meta thing? Because you made my head hurt, and you never explained it.
It failed. It failed in the room. Basically...
I didn't get it, though.
So the idea is that all throughout the podcast, I'm giving these little facts from Mental Floss.
Yeah.
And the genesis of this idea is those in the elevator, those screens.
Yeah.
That you have to like just get facts and you kind of can't turn your eyes away from them. So I wanted to do a podcast and just while I was talking, occasionally just say, unable to prevent the use of the word spam to represent unwanted email messages, the Hormel Company now uses all capital letters in referencing its canned pork product. So, Bill, the other thing about Tyson Week, and we just always be dropping these nuggets.
That, first of all, have you ever shown up for the movies too early?
Yes.
And you get the right kind of company that shows the tidbits on the screen? Like Shirley MacLaine and Warren Beatty are actually brother and sister. Like stuff like that.
You can't stop watching.
No, I love those. I think that should be a channel.
That's basically what the elevator channel is, and that's what I wanted to turn in the podcast. I think it's Knoxville, Tennessee's Body Farm isn't a day spa. It is a forensic anthropology facility. Human cadavers are left outdoors in varying stages of undress, in water, underbrush, etc., so that scientists can study the decomposition process. So I think it's a good idea, Bill. It should be a channel.
I thought they were shorter, though.
This was too long. This is Mental Floss, amazing fact generator.
Because I also like the screen jumbler. It's like Tom Hanks' latest movie, but 9 of the letters are missing. You'd be like, angels and demons! Like you want to yell out at the
I always feel bad. I always feel bad for sort of humanity when it's like a screen jumble and the hint is Sylvester Stallone's famous boxing character, and it says YOCKR, and people are like, oh!
Yeah.
Oh boy, we are just not a good country.
I had an awesome experience. My wife and I went to see Drag Me to Hell on Saturday night.
You actually went out. You got a sitter to go see Drag Me to Hell.
No, we had a date. We decided date and a movie.
Oh, date night.
Got to do that
Drag
stuff.
Me to Hell.
Got to keep it fresh. Got to keep it fresh every once in a while. So, she loves horror movies. So we went to Drag Me to Hell, and it's very good. But when you see a movie like that in L.A., you really get like the stereotypical experience that the comedians always make fun of the people that talk through the movie.
Mm.
And it's just fantastic. And I'm not convinced that should be a blog of things really dumb people say out loud, thinking that other people find them funny during a movie like Drag Me to Hell.
Oh, that's not. Yeah, it's like
because I heard like
theater.
7. It's like Mystery Science Theater, but it's like bizarro Mystery Science Theater. It's stuff that's not funny. It's stuff that's poorly thought out. You know, it's like, yeah, because you gotta go to hell. You know, like, and they're not even jokes. You don't know what the incentive is to yell it out. Dan, don't open that door. It's like, what? Are you trying to make me laugh or think, or what's your goal?
It could be a right alongside the director's commentary.
That's true. You're saying so they should have like the dimwit director's commentary.
Yeah,
you can just turn it on. You can watch it with dumb people from LA movie theaters.
Man's Chinese theater commentary.
All right, Kevin Wildes.
Right on, buddy.
The next time you come on,
oh boy,
I want to finalize Cheers Chicago cast.
All right, I said I was going to make an Excel document, and then I realized I'm not making an Excel document.
Well, just come up with the 7. Who did you say Carla was? You had a good Carla.
Rosie Perez, baby.
Oh. You could have talked me into Jada Pinkett Smith with like a giant afro.
Yeah, she's not doing it though.
She's not doing it in what sense?
She's not going to be on. She's a little too big. She's got Will Smith money.
Yeah, but Will Smith leaves her in a year or two, and yeah, you're right. Then she's got the Will Smith money. Yeah.
Hey, can I shout out before I leave? Can I shout out one more beef?
Yeah.
You're Glenn Beck. You're a punk. Coming for you. You're not real. Watch Sportsnation.
Kevin Wildes, talk to you soon.
Later, buddy.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.
That concludes, ends, finishes, wraps up another BS Report. With all the talk about baseball, the upcoming football season, and hockey playoffs, Bill Simmons neglected to mention something which frankly cannot go unstated. Okay, here goes. For a limited time, hurry into Subway and enjoy the new Tuscan Chicken Melt. Lovely seasoned chicken, melted bubbly cheese with olive vinaigrette, piled so high with the crisp veggies you love on your choice of freshly baked bread. All that deliciousness with 9 grams of fat. It's part of a fresh fit meal.